Hey guys, Tony here. I'm down in Adelaide at the Krix factory. I've got my good friend Michael from Krix here, and we're in the R&D room. And I actually saw this room last year, but due to the sensitive nature of some of the gear in here, I wasn't allowed to talk about it. So this year at the dealer conference, the room is ready and we got to see some cool new speakers as well as a whole new wall of subs. So Michael, thanks for showing me through the room. And why don't you go through and tell us a little bit about the space?
Yeah, sure. So we use this room as a bit of a R&D demo showroom where we can bring in new speakers, new subs, new bits of electronics, and just try different configurations out and see how it goes. So this room is generally in a constant state of flux, just trying different things. So we've currently got it set up in a 7.8.4 configuration, and at the moment we've got our new OWX-50s behind the screen. So we're just giving them a bit of a run, got it tuned nicely with the subs and showing that to our dealers and yourself, yeah.
Perfect. So we'll talk a little bit about those speakers later, but why don't we talk about the room itself? Because the room has got a little bit more polish than the last time I saw it. So what are the dimensions?
So dimensions are roughly about 5.8 deep and about 4.4 wide. So the front of the room is a bit taller at about 3.3, and then that rakes downwards to about 2.4 meters at the back.
Right. And so we've got some nice carpet. We've got two 3-seater couches here, which so obviously people can demo.
Yep.
And also some curtains on the side. So it does feel a little bit more like a home theater than it did last year.
Yeah.
Right, so moving along, why don't we talk about the projection and the screen?
Yeah, so in here we've got a 130-inch 16.9 screen.
Oh my God.
And we're running a Sony 4K projector at the back there.
Perfect, right. This room is more about the audio, as you can tell.
Like most things here. Yeah.
From Michael's brief description of what we're running for projection. So let's talk about the electronics, because obviously we have some pretty high-end and cool stuff here.
Yeah, so we've got a Trinnov Altitude 16 driving everything, doing the processing. We've got that set up with waveforming in its current form, and we've also got a +4 onto that. So we've actually got 20 channels out of that if we need it. So we're using, I think, about 19 of those. So the other things we've got here, we use this room as a bit of a tester for different amplifiers. So at any one point, we might have different equipment in here. So currently we've got an Elektra 7-channel power amplifier driving the fronts, and we've also got a Trinnov Amplitude 16 doing some surrounds, and on the subs we've got a PowerSoft 8804, I think, driving the subs at the front of the room, and we've got a couple of Yamaha PX10s driving the rear. So we've got a few bits and pieces. It's a bit of a mishmash, but that's what we like to do, get in and try different things and come up with different configurations.
It makes sense to me. You have to make sure your speakers work on different equipment.
Yep.
Perfect. And so we've got, in terms of the speakers, we've got these new OWX speakers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those speakers and what problems you were trying to solve with them?
Yeah, so we've only just released them probably like a couple of months ago. So we've got the OWX-50 and the 55. So the OWX-50 is more of a square format, and the 55 is a bit more portrait, so a bit longer. So we see people maybe using the 50s more as front speakers, where more sort of square dimensions help them with versatility of placement, fitting more subwoofers around them. They're really versatile, and the bracket that they're on allows you to pan them as much as you want. With the 55s, they can be used behind the screen as well, but we see those, because they're a portrait orientation, they're a bit easier to have them as like surrounds or overheads and angle them in without them being too wide out into the room. So we sort of, from our range, we've got the Phonics 45 and the Hyperphonics 5 have been just so popular since we've released those, and getting up into those bigger size rooms where we needed more output with, like, for surrounds or wides or something like that, they can be used in that regard. They've got about 500 watts of power handling, and they're about 97 dB sensitivity, so they've got a huge amount of output. It's almost sort of like Pix, sort of MX30 type territory. So obviously in really big rooms, they can be used as surrounds. Even in very large rooms, you know, rooms sort of 10, 12 meters deep, the OWX can go in as front speakers. And I mean, you heard them today, they're plenty of dynamic range and output from them. So yeah, that's what we came out with those. And we were just trying to get a higher output speaker that was a bit more compact and could be placed sort of wherever it needed to be. And we've also made them super shallow. So I think they're about 150, 160 millimeters deep. So the output you get from them from only being that deep is pretty cool.
I mean, to me, they sounded like an MX30, MX40 almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing sound. And everyone else that I was asking as well how they felt about them. They had very similar feedback as well. It was just amazing to see that something this small could create that kind of output.
Yeah, that much, and from that much depth as well. So from 160 mils depth, you can see how shallow they are there, and that was one of the things that the engineers did really well at, was able to get, this is actually a constant directivity horn with a compression driver inside it. So you get the benefits of a CD horn, compression driver, all within that 160 mil cabinet. The bass drivers as well, that's the bass drivers from the Hyperphonics. So that's like a 6.5 inch with a 2-inch voice coil. So the actual like power handling and output of those is just spectacular. So this one's the 50, which is the square one that we were talking about before, and then you've got the 55 here, that's that more portrait orientation. So the main thing, obviously with these, again, they can both be used as fronts or surrounds. It doesn't matter either way. We think people probably use these more as fronts to have more room around them, and then for surrounds, go more towards the 55s where they have a smaller footprint from the top as you angle them around. And they come with that bracket with them as well, so it's nice and easy to do that. Or if you want to use them as overheads, again, they're not like really small, but still quite compact. You can have them as in Atmos or height positions that you need to, and angle them at your seat.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. We're looking around the room now, and Michael is standing in front of one of my favourite speakers, which is the Hyperphonics 45.
To the grill off.
So this is one of the surround speakers, and if you have a look, it's a pretty cool looking speaker, and I have 6 of them.
You're pretty familiar with them, yeah?
I am. So why have you chosen this to pair with this setup?
The rest, we decided, we previously had dynamics in here, which are great. They still filled the space, but we just wanted to take it up just one more notch with the sensitivity and power handling of these matched to the rest of the room. It just made that little bit more sense. So previously, in the version before of this room, we only had 2 side surrounds. So in the last few weeks, we added in another pair of rear surrounds, same Hyperphonics 45s as well, literally just bolted them into the subs.
So they're bolted onto the casing of the sub.
Yeah, so not what you'd necessarily always do, but again, like in
R&D room.
In 3 months' time, we'll probably change it up again. So yeah, so we just put those in. So that really did help fill in the back soundstage. I noticed immediately watching movies just how much those rear surrounds added to it.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, we are now going to move to the overhead speakers. So, Michael, why don't you tell us about the speakers you've chosen?
Yeah, so in this room, we've got the IC52s. So we've got more in here than we're actually using, but we can obviously rewire where we need to. We're using top fronts and top rears in this configuration. We do have top middles if we want to switch to them, but just for ease of use at the moment, we're running the 4 overheads, which is top front and top rear.
Okay. Now that we've announced these new speakers, why don't we talk about the subwoofers? Because I saw these last year and I wasn't allowed to say anything about them, but yeah, now we can talk about them.
Yeah, we can have a bit of a chat about them. So they're just a really early prototype of what we've been working on over the last year. We've took some Infrasubs to ISE this year and the year before, and they've evolved, but these are one of the earlier prototypes where we, obviously this room size doesn't really work that well for just tons of like 18-inch woofers or that sort of thing. So we made, I guess, a smaller prototype with dual 12s in it. And we've actually got 8 of those on the front wall. So 8 dual 12s on the front and then 8 dual 12s on the rear. So there's a total of 32 12-inch drivers in this room. With waveforming, 16 of those are on the front wall being the emitters, and then the other 16 are on the rear wall doing more absorption. So,
and you can tell. You can tell.
Yeah, you can tell there's that many subs in here. Yeah, there's a lot of output. So yeah, they're an early prototype sub that we've sort of built up the concept from there, and we're going to be sort of releasing that concept very shortly. I'm not sure exactly when with this video, but it'll be released quite soon. We're going to have it at the Hi-Fi, at the Melbourne Hi-Fi show as well, where people will be able to see the big brother version to these early prototypes.
If this video does come out before then, I will make sure that I don't reveal what we were just talking about.
It's fine.
But if it does, then we're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty awesome. So the concept is to have infrasonics. So we're talking about sub 15 hertz.
Yeah, so these are, they're a sealed design, and what we've done is we've got dual opposing drivers. So we found that a lot of the designs where we were trying to put subwoofers on walls or connected to structures where they fired straight outwards, just the moving mass of the driver and how much that was moving, you know, it ends up just shaking the walls and the whole room. So we came up with that thought process of, okay, let's do dual opposing, and the cabinet just is inert. It doesn't move, so it cancels out the movement of the cabinet straight off the bat. So you just end up with a really clean signal from the subs.
Well, I didn't hear any vibrations in the room. Like no room noise, like there wasn't any rattles at all.
Yeah.
So that does make sense what you're saying.
Yeah, and they don't move. And these we have, each of the enclosures is sealed, and I think these are tuned down to that rough 10 to 15 hertz. These are the early prototypes, and we're obviously DSPing the bottom end of it. We can sort of adjust that a bit, so you'll have to hang out and see what the final specs on the bigger brother is.
Awesome.
So we spoke about the subwoofers, but we didn't really go into the configuration. And why don't you tell us about how they're connected to the Trinnov?
Yeah, so obviously it's running off an altitude 16 with a +4, so we don't have enough outputs to be able to run 16 subwoofers and no speakers really at all. So what we've done is we've joined up the subwoofers in pairs. Because they've got a very similar source from where the sound's coming from, we can actually wire them up as a single output on the Trinnov. So that means that there's 4 outputs for the front wall and 4 for the rear wall. So we're actually only using 8 channels for the subs. Because they're so closely co-located, it's okay. If they were spread out, then we wouldn't be able to get away with it.
Well, Michael, I'm so happy that I was able to get this video done. Just to show you guys, there's some really cool things coming from Krix. Again, I feel really privileged to have been invited down to the 50th anniversary. I'm very passionate about Krix, as everyone who has watched my channel knows, and I look forward to owning more Krix products in the future.
You need more, don't you? Yeah, 60, 70 isn't enough.
No, it's not enough. I need to get a bigger house. But these infrasonic subs really piqued my interest. And I'm telling you guys, in the demos, like the John Wick 3, the shotgun scene, I might sound like I'm overdoing it, but it was the best room that I've ever heard that in.
Okay, that's nice to hear.
And I thought it sounded good in my room, but this was next level.
Then he came here and ruined it.
Yes, pretty much. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to put 32 subwoofers in my room.
We'll see how many we can fit.
And guys, anyway, stay tuned, because I'm currently redoing my own room for waveforming. So Michael will be coming up and spending some time with me, dialing in the room. So make sure you follow along with my build series. So again, thanks for hosting us, Michael.
No worries, thanks for coming down. We really appreciate you flying over and spending some time with us. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. But guys, that's it for this one. You'll catch me in the next one.
Bye for now.
Fix my beard. Oh man. Okay.
I don't know what to fix.
That's
the start of the video.
Yes. I'm going to put that in the video too, in the outtakes.
Oh, so professional.
So have a quick look around the room. I've got my... What did I just spin? Oh,
Break it live.
mate, the amount of... the amount... Is that too bright for you?
It's okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right.
It's fine.